This game's just a dorky Undertale knockoff in real time. Or is it? I'll admit I had my doubts when I played through the tutorial and there was a cryptic character representing death. But is this pixel art Dark Souls Zelda knockoff gonna actually be good, or is it gonna be garbage? Let's find out. One of the things I really like about this game is the world building. So how do you go from the tutorial to the actual story? Well, you get eaten by a scaleless snake that spits you up like a hairball in a tunnel, and your only means of communication with the person who was guiding you through the tutorial is an emo butterfly with a cowlick. I think this is a great symbolic description of how There Is No Light decides to tell you its story. It doesn't really explain anything. Instead, it lets you figure it out. As you wander around the world, you'll encounter different items and NPCs and parts of the background that'll clue you in as to what the heck just actually happened in this universe. This Dark Souls-esque type of storytelling actually really helps the pacing of the game. Instead of an NPC always stopping you just to give you some verbal exposition on what's going on, it lets you figure it out on the go, and if you don't want to know any of the story, it doesn't force it down your throat. But here's where I want to get into what actually makes this type of storytelling really fantastic. The environment. As you walk around and pick up little tidbits of conversation with the NPCs in the game, you'll see that the background and landscape changes to reflect the current struggle that they're going through. For example, in the tunnel, there's a bunch of people that have basically been forced out of their homes by dangers beyond the border. When you go beyond the border, there's a bunch of spiders, and then humans trapped in their webs that are telling you to flee for your life. Until finally you get into the middle and, spoiler alert, there's a hidden city in there that people have found a way to thrive and live in coexistence with the spiders. When you exit the town, you'll find yourself in old abandoned ruins with these weird red monsters going everywhere, and you start finding out that something went horrendously wrong with the creatures of that dimension. This brings me to another strong point of the game, which is the pacing. Because the story rarely impedes your progress or freezes you, you get to experience the game at your own leisure. If you want to just ignore everything and start smashing in spider skulls, you're free to do so. But if you want to roleplay Mr. Detective Man Sherlock Holmes, you can also do that, looking under every weird looking chair and stone that you can find on your path to complete the game's story. I know this game is only a demo, but what they've shown us so far is very promising. Like most things in life though, it's a mixed bag. Let's get started. This game is hard, like harder than trying to herd 12 belligerent cats into a tiny box. Okay, try number 34. Come on. Come on, babe. Oh, you got a lucky hit it. What happened? Oh, wow, I missed it. Okay, come on, you booty bops. Big booty. Oh, no. Leave me alone. Oh. Okay, one more hit and he's down. That should be good. Oh, I'm fast though. Nice, alright. Should be. But there's two of them, please! There's no difficulty adjustment either, so if you aren't used to Souls games, you are going to get your butt kicked a lot before you can even progress even a little bit in the game. I'm gonna introduce you guys to a big boy word now. It's called conveyance. Specifically for video games, conveyance means being able to teach a player the rules of the game or where to go without explicitly telling them so. And I gotta say, the conveyance in this game is not always the best. And it can really be immersion breaking when you go around in circles just trying to find out how to progress the story or the game. A lot of the areas include some of the same visual elements, and that's what leads to the confusion. It's not always possible, but I think this game, with what it's been able to do so far, it could do a better job of this. And finally, the last bad thing about this game right now is that it has arenas. Basically areas where you get frozen and can't progress unless you beat this onslaught of enemies. And given how difficult this game is, this could be a really frustrating point for some players. One side note about the game is that it has a unique combat system, but it can be confusing at times. You switch between 3 weapons and each has their own abilities. But when you upgrade them, it's not always clear on how you can make the most of these sometimes. Every now and then, you'll invest in an upgrade that sounds good on paper, but you're not actually sure how to use it once you get it. And the game doesn't really give you too many pointers with this. So is this game gonna be garbage? That's a tough one to answer at this point. I would actually say, though, that there's a good chance this could turn out to be great if they keep up with the visual storytelling and maybe give some more options for combat that would make it easier for players who aren't used to Souls-type games to actually progress the story without feeling frustrated.